So rappers have discovered something crazy in your Beatstars contracts and they're freaking out about it. You gotta see this. A lot of producers are leasing beats every single day on Beatstars, but neither recording artists nor producers often read through their agreements. The recording artists who do read through their agreements have problems with certain parts of the Beatstars default lease contracts. I covered one of those problems in a recent video, and that's when good old Dan came out of the woodworks and pointed out that, shout out to Dan, I was harsh on him, I don't even know the guy. Dan posted on Threads that the Beatstars contracts prohibit synchronization licenses, and what they actually do is they make it clear that this leasing agreement is not meant as a sync agreement, which is to say that if a rapper ends up getting a song that they record to a beat they leased from you in a car commercial, that Beatstars contract doesn't give them permission to do so. That's because the sync agreement is separate. The car company has to get everyone who's involved in creating that song to sign off on it, and they pay them accordingly. It's just there to protect the producer, because if the Beatstars lease agreements allowed syncs, that would mean you'd just be cutting yourself out of any equity in any sort of sync licenses potentially, and that's terrible. You don't want to do that. So I say that to say a lot of the problems that artists have with the Beatstars contracts are often just due to them not really understanding what those stipulations really mean and how they impact them. And so what ends up happening is people just freak out. The first major issue with the Beatstars contract that I want to point out, and it's not really an issue, it's a problem that I've seen come up again and again in these conversations, is the whole mechanical license thing. People don't know what the hell a mechanical license is. And I'm not going to lie, it's the most confusing type of royalty. We've covered this on the podcast before. There was a fairly prominent rapper who came out and equated mechanical royalties with sound recording royalties. He said that's what a distributor pays you. Distributors don't pay mechanical royalties. I had this conversation many times. This is from 2018. I was breaking down the deal points in the average major label producer agreement. Someone replied and said, since so many people, I was talking about three royalty points, and I got the reply that said, since so many people are streaming singles right now, is it a 3% payout of mechanical royalties for sales of the entire album? So they think that mechanical royalties come from a percentage of sales. Are you sick of this chart yet? I love this chart because it explains everything visually for me. It literally explains the entire music business. I've said this again and again. I don't know why people are just not using this chart. Under the master recording, so this is what happened. These are record sales royalties, right? Mechanicals aren't there. Mechanicals are here. They're under the underlying composition. And as we know, the underlying composition is split among writers, and the writers have publishers that correspond to their percentage. So for example, if you are working with a rapper, right, and it's just the two of you, you make the beat, the rapper writes the lyrics, split everything 50-50, that means you get 25% as a songwriter because you composed the beat, and then you get 25% as a publisher because those shares have to be proportional. Same with the rapper. The rapper gets 25% as a songwriter, 25% as a publisher. That amounts to a total of 100%. I know if you register with BMI, they use 200%. 200% is the same as 100%. And mechanical royalties are paid out to songwriters based on their equity in the underlying composition. It's not their cut from the total revenue made off of record sales. Here's another interesting tweet. All artists need to do their homework on mechanical royalties. You're missing half of your money when it comes to streams. I agree that artists need to do their homework on mechanical royalties because it is complicated, but it's not half. Shout out to Ryan Schmidt. He's a lawyer. He explains mechanicals through the MLC, which is the organization that pays out mechanical royalties, account for about 11 to 13% of the revenue from streaming. PROs like ASCAP and BMI account for about another 11%, and distributors the remaining 70%. So the distributors are paying out on the sound recording side. This is for an unsigned artist. If you were signed to a major, you would replace distributors with labels. So labels really got a good deal when it came to streaming. No wonder they're the ones who did all the negotiating with the streaming platforms, and so they really screwed everyone else over so they could get the biggest piece of the pie. Another major reason mechanical royalties are confusing is because recently the responsibility of collecting mechanical royalties has changed hands. It used to be the HFA, the Harry Fox agency. MLC has taken over, and HFA has contributed to the forming of the MLC's database. HFA used to collect, as it says, mechanicals from DSPs, but now that role has been passed on to the MLC. And that's a good thing. The MLC is actually advocating for artists. They're a nonprofit, and they've done a lot of good, and they're pushing for a lot of fair legislation so that people like us songwriters. Yes, beat makers are songwriters. So we get paid fairly. So what does that have to do with Beatstars contracts? This is just a default Beatstars contract. It's on my website. I'm not someone who Frankenstein my Beatstars contract because I'm not a lawyer, so I don't feel comfortable doing that. Here's something that might help. So I would type in, rephrase this in plain and simple English. The licensee will pay mechanical royalties at 100% of the minimum legal rate. So this didn't really explain this all that much, not in much plainer English. Thanks a lot, ChatGPT. This is why AI is not going to save us. So this is the part that artists have a problem with. You're seeing this. Licensee will pay mechanical royalties at 100%. Think about this. If you're an artist who thinks mechanical royalties are record sales, oh shit, this is bad. I got to give 100% of everything I make off of selling this track to the producer. That's unfair. Yeah, and it is unfair, and that's not what it means. So let's use some context clues here. 100% of the minimum statutory rate. So the minimum statutory rate, statutory, this is a law, this is legally set, is 12.4 cents per track, or 2.39 cents per minute of playing time, whichever is greater. Rate is set by the Copyright Royalty Board. So this is a governmental organization. This number changes, but it is a fixed number. It's not like record sales that are based on, a percentage of how much is being sold with recoupment, this and that. We are legally entitled to these mechanical royalties, and this is a set legal rate, the minimum statutory rate. Now again, mechanical royalties fall under the composition umbrella when it comes to the copyright. That means if there are 4 songwriters on a song, more than likely, and this is how I do it, they're splitting everything proportionally, 25, 25, 25, 25. Now I said earlier that 25 would end up 12.5 on the songwriter side and 12.5 on the publishing entity side. But that is for performance royalties. That's what's paid out by BMI and ASCAP. BMI and ASCAP and other PROs don't pay out mechanical royalties as far as I know. Hold on. No, BMI does not collect mechanical royalties. Okay, so I'm not full of shit. So let's go back to this mechanical royalty rate, right? 12.4 cents per track. So if we're talking about the full 12.4 cents, which is not what streaming pays out, Spotify actually, because they're different. Spotify's special. They pay an average of this is depressing. Let's go with the 12.4. That would be divided by 4 evenly. So every one of these people would get 3.1 cent. Every songwriter would get 3.1 cents. So all this part of your Beatstars contract is saying is that if you're one of 4 songwriters, you would get 100% of your proportional share, which in this case would be 3.1 cents. All it's saying is you have to get paid in accordance with your split, in accordance with the law. So if the law says this is what you're getting paid, then you have to get paid based on how much of the underlying composition you own. So if it's just the 2 of you, the rapper and you, the producer, no samples, nothing, it's 50-50 split, then you get 50% of whatever 100% of mechanical royalty rate that applies to that situation. And this is not even anything that, again, recording artists really need to think about. They let the MLC handle this, right? Register your title. That's all. Register it. You're not coming out of pocket. You're not sending checks to us. But the point is, this freaks people out because they don't know. So then they go on the internet and say Beatstars contracts are really unfair. They give 100% of everything to the producers. That's not what's happening. So I got my headphones on. Z Beats dropped a video. He shouted me out in it. I'm going to link the full video below. I'm going to watch this. I'm going to challenge one thing, and then I'm going to encourage you to watch the whole thing. But shout out to Z Beats.
If you're a producer, you probably think you're protected by the standard Beatstars contract, but you're not. Listen up, because today I'm going to give you the 5 changes that you need to make to your license agreements immediately. I had to learn these things the hard way, and each one I added into my contract after something had happened to me. I wanted to share them with you so you can make your license agreements airtight and prevent...
I think number 5 is really important. The mechanical... God, see, I'm fucking up. The master royalty section. So watch his video. Aha, look at that. Look, he's doing the same thing. He's using the same chart.
Number 1, adding a no refund policy. Our beats are digital products, and once they've been downloaded, there's no way to give them back. Once it's on an artist's computer, they can make unlimited copies of the file and still use it, no matter what they say. That's why I highly suggest putting a no refund policy in your license agreement. It'll help you in a lot of ways, but most importantly, it'll help you if a customer decides to do some funny stuff.
Okay, I have a question for Z Beats. Have you ever actually contacted PayPal and said, I have a no refund policy when you get a chargeback?
If you're not familiar with a chargeback, basically what happens is after a customer has purchased a beat from you, they go to PayPal and they say, yo, someone used my credit card without my permission to purchase this beat and I want my money back. The crazy part is Beatstars shows you all the downloads of any file by a customer in your transaction section. So in these cases, it's usually very obvious the artist downloaded the beat after the purchase and is trying to steal it without paying. You can see the download records for all your beat sales by going into sales, transactions, click on the transaction on the left that says pro guest, and then scroll all the way down to the bottom and there's timestamps every time a customer downloaded the files. I've even had people file a chargeback and then after I find their song using my beat on Spotify. And the real bummer is if you lose the chargeback case, you have to pay an additional fee on top of the money you have to give the customer back. So you don't just lose the beat sale money, you lose more money on top of that, so it's a complete net loss. No refund policies are incredibly common for digital products, and you'll find these on all major e-commerce sites for courses, PDFs, and many other types of products. So to add this, go into the license agreement in your Beatstars account, and then you can put something like, since your beat purchase is a digital product, it is deemed used after download or opening.
All right, so I'm not the one that's encouraging you to change your Beatstars contracts. Link to the full video below. ZBeats can bear all responsibility for whatever legal problems you get into once you start messing around with your contracts. I just don't feel comfortable doing it because I'm not a lawyer. Maybe a couple little minor things here and there. So watch his full video because I think he explains a lot of valuable things with regards to the producer contracts that can actually help producers quite a bit, at least in terms of just understanding the contracts and pointing out some stipulations in the contracts that they might want to consider changing. But when it comes to the no refund policy, anyone who buys a beat from you and then files a chargeback claiming that they should get their money back is a liar, right? They're lying and saying they didn't intentionally purchase your beat, even if you have them on record downloading the beat. I had a guy messaging me back and forth talking about, oh yeah, thank you for the beat, thank you for the consultation, sharing his wedding plans with me, and then that very same night he filed a chargeback against me. I was going to lose hundreds of dollars, but I didn't. I'll show you why in a second if you haven't seen that video. But my question is, why would a no refund clause in your beat lease contract change this? You can tell PayPal, hey, I have a no refund policy, but if the user is claiming they never bought the beat, then they never read your agreement, and so therefore they don't have to stick to the no refund policy. Fraudulent chargebacks violate so many terms of service on multiple platforms. I think I did some research and there's something called the Fair Credit Billing Act, and I'm pretty sure fraudulent chargebacks are against the rules of the Fair Credit Billing Act. And people are breaking those rules all the time, every time they file a fraudulent chargeback. So the contract, no matter what you put in it, isn't going to prevent this, and PayPal's not going to help you. I'm going to end the video here with this. This is how, if you haven't watched the video or if you just need a refresher, this is how you beat PayPal at their own game when it comes to chargebacks. On every Beatstars transaction that you have in your account, every beat that you've sold, you can scroll down on that individual transaction into the download history area and see exactly, and it marks the IP and everything, exactly how many times that person downloaded your beat as proof that they received your digital good. What I do is I print that page that I showed you earlier with the download history as proof that they received the product. I put it in an envelope. If you have stamps at home, use your stamps at home. Take the address that's written not on the Beatstars receipt, but that's written on the PayPal dispute. A lot of times people will put a fake address in on one or the other, or the addresses just won't match up. The one that matters is whatever the shipping address in the PayPal transaction is, not the Beatstars transaction. This is important. So once you put that in the envelope, write the customer's address here, stamp it if you can, otherwise they'll do it at the post office for you. What you're going to do once you have the envelope with the receipt in it, proof of purchase, proof of download, with the address of the fraudulent, scamming ass, possibly tire neck customer that is trying to play you for a sucker written on it, take it down to your local post office. You take it down to your local post office, and when you get there, you say, I want to send this and I need a tracking number. I want the cheapest option with tracking, because we don't want to spend a bunch of money on this. It should only cost around $500. It should only cost around $5, 500 cents, technically. That must have been what I was thinking. And here's a copy of the receipt I got. So I forgot I had stamps, stupidly, so I had to pay for the standard postage. That's why I say if you have stamps at home, you may as well just stamp up your envelope. Save yourself some money. But I got this tracking number. There's a tracking number here, as you can see. And then as PayPal explains here, all you have to do once you get your tracking number, and try to do this within the first 24 hours of receiving that dispute. Oftentimes, PayPal doesn't give you much time to respond, so try to get this done quickly. You'll resolve it quicker. So you go to the resolution center, you click respond, because they're going to ask you if you want to respond to the claim, and you provide your tracking information. And I generally write up a paragraph explaining and emphasizing the fact that this claim against me is fraudulent. They're scamming. They've already received a digital product. They have a tracking number for the physical copy. And the reason I'm sending the physical copy is because there's that tracking number as proof. I can show PayPal a million IP addresses. PayPal doesn't care about IP addresses. They say they do, and you can show that as proof of having delivered the product. You're going to lose that way probably. I have not lost this way.